mighty cloudy. Just 1, 2. Welcome, welcome. So let's get started. It's 1 o'clock and I am going to start on time. I want to welcome those online and welcome those in the room. And let's acknowledge ourselves for even being here and showing up regardless of what our ego wants us to do sometimes. And there's some really cool, juicy people in the room. So let's acknowledge the cool, juicy people. Whoa, yes. That's right. It's buckets next to the chairs. That's how juicy y'all are, I guess. Yeah, just flowing over juice. I tell you, welcome online. I'm Earl Purdy. Welcome to Facebook Live, A Course in Miracles. And that's a course in right perception. It says if we have a right perception, it's a miracle. Yeah. So that's why it's called A Course in Miracles. Woo! My goodness. You know, there's a in the Course in Miracles, it talks about how we mustn't confuse fear with awe. Like sometimes there'll be a point on the spiritual path that you'll be in awe at the power of God and seeing it. But your ego might say you're feeling fear, but it's not actual fear. You're just in awe. And that's where I am right now. I'm just seeing so much of the evidence. This is a symbolic gesture to show that I'm willing to have a healed throat. The Course in Miracles says that it's okay to temporarily rely on external healing methods, especially if you tried to heal yourself and it didn't work. So that sounds like a reasonable request, right? Yeah. Because it's like, this doggone book is true, y'all. It really, I mean, it'll be almost 40 years this year, it'll be 39 years. And the most amazing thing about the Course in Miracles is to watch yourself and everybody do exactly what the book says they're going to do. I mean, to the point that it's almost freaky. Yeah. Because we think we're so unique and original. And it says if you have a mind that thinks that, the part of your mind that thinks it's on its own, the part of your mind that thinks it's separate, this is what it's going to do. And then it goes, the part of your mind that knows it's one, the part of your mind that's connected to love and source, this is what it is going to do. And that the purpose of the Course is to teach you the difference between those two parts of your own mind so that you can pay attention to the part of your mind that's based on the truth as opposed to the part of your mind that's telling you to lie. And so so the whole book is about teaching you, when you're listening to what it calls your ego, which it says it's the part of the mind that thinks it's on its own. It thinks it's in a body, thinks it's in a body, thinks it's in a body. The part of me that thinks I am in a body. The part of my mind that thinks I am in a body and separate from you and who feels things that you don't feel. Right? Right? I've given myself a little scratchy throat because I talk for a living. Right? So you don't feel it from your separated self, or you would say, my God, I can feel that, right? So there is a part of me that thinks it is a body, that thinks it is separate, and I admit that. And there's also a part of me that knows it is not a body, that is one with all things, that is totally invulnerable and innocent. And I really want to get to know that part. And the purpose of the Course is to teach you how to recognize that part. It also says that part of you that thinks it is separate, it is going to defend that idea. So when you start to go in the direction of your true self, your self of oneness and innocent, that part of you that believes you're not is going to defend against you tapping into your truly loving, cool self. Everybody with me on that? And so the Course is trying to get us to be able to recognize that part of us and not let that part of us advise us. But that part of us, it also tries to convince us that it knows best. Right? And so it's very, very subtle in the way that it does stuff. So the way you can tell when you're listening to your ego, which is what the Course calls it, it's the easiest way in the world to tell when you're listening to the false voice. Okay, I'm going to give that to you right up front for free. You can tell by how you feel. You can tell by how you feel. Not what you think, but how you feel. So if you're feeling less than peace, if you're feeling any kind of contraction, guilt, anger, sickness, perception of lack, loneliness, then what voice are you listening to according to the Course? The ego. Right. That's how you tell. Now, did that sound really, really, really complicated? No. Okay. So, how can you tell which area of your life right now you are looking at it from the perspective of your ego?
My bank account.
Your bank account? But based on what I said, it would be what? How you feel. Like if you think about your relationships or any one of your relationships and you immediately go into some form of conflict or contraction, you're listening to your ego's description of what's going on. So the Course would say you're listening to the wrong voice. Okay. Another thing that's so cool about the Course is that it says the truth is simple. The truth is simple. So I'm not going to be talking about complicated concepts and ideas because it's not complicated, but the Course is a genius in that it can be as complicated as you need it to be to understand it. So therefore you can go to some Course in Miracles classes and it can sound like the most complex thing that you've ever tried to go through, or read the book and it'll seem like it's so complex you feel like you can't read it. That's because you need it that way. And then there are some of you that will be able to see right through it. Like, for instance, if you want to instantly turn the Course in Miracles into a modern language translation of it, all you have to do is substitute the words love and fear, because that's all it's talking about. I'm going to be on page 245 in the text. Those of you online, it is so good. Chapter 13, section 4, called the function of time, or thought. And I just want to say fight you. We're going to fight you today.
Fight you too.
Have you ever been fighted? Okay. I just farted, excuse me. Oops, I farted. The function of time, the function of time. What is the function of time? What is the function of time? Take a breath. What is the function of time? Okay. This is so interesting. What is the function of time? All right. It's so consistent. It is so consistent. It's so consistent. It is so consistent. This book has got to be true. It's got to be true. It's got to be true. I can predict my ego so well now that this book has got to be true. Because I had been having a problem with my music, because the battery goes, so I brought another one as an extra. Then I looked down and got ready to charge, and looked down and got ready to use it, and it was dead as a doornail. Right? It's so funny. And then this one is like nothing. Absolutely zero. And this one, it's just staring at me. And it was working fine. I was just playing it just a second ago. Okay. So, what I've learned to do is let it go. Let go. And at that point, we'll see what it chooses to do. Okay. This is hilarious. That is hilarious. Okay. All right, so we're going to do it. And I'm going to take this sentence by sentence, okay? But now, in order for us to get the most we can out of this, there's a certain attitude that we're going to need to take in order to get the Course in Miracles. Number one, the Course in Miracles has its own way of being read, if you want to get what it's saying, which is you don't have to believe it, accept it, or welcome it. Whatever your reaction is to anything that the Course says, use the idea. You are not being asked to judge it or analyze it. This is straight from the book. I know some of you think that you've heard me say this 100 times, and I'm like the flight attendant on the airplane who's giving the direction where everybody's attention is somewhere else because they think they've heard it before. But I'm telling you, if you're having a hard time with the Course, more than likely, it isn't that you don't understand what it's not what you're reading that's confusing you. You're still ignoring the instructions that it gives about how to read it. It says that knowledge is not the motivation for learning the Course. That you're not trying to learn the Course so that you'll get more knowledge, which is why most people come to classes, because they think they need to get more knowledge. He says what you study the Course in Miracles for is because you want peace. So the goal of the Course is not you understanding everything. The goal of the Course is peace, which he calls total fulfillment. Right. Okay? And so if you were to listen to it from the perspective of what I'm trying to get is peace, and for me to get to peace, I don't have to believe it, understand it, or welcome it, and some of it's going to be hard to believe and startling, but if I'll just do what it says, I'll get the result. And so what it says all the way through the book is two things, and what are those two things? Don't forget this, remember this. Don't forget this, remember this. It says it over and over and over and over. But what do students of the Course want to do? Analyze it. They want to sit around and analyze the concepts. I will not do that in my classes anymore. I'm not going to do that. So people who need to analyze probably not going to come to my classes much longer. My focus is going to be on remembering what I'm being told, right? And the Course itself says you will not get it without some attention and some study, no matter what you're trying to do. How are you going to get your driver's license and never, ever work on actually giving some attention to how to drive a car and learning the rules of the road? You know you're not. But for some reason, my brothers and sisters think they're going to master total enlightenment and peace and never pick up a book, never study, and don't focus in on it. Or they try to fit the truth into their already existing thought system, which if that thought system was so great, you'd already be happy. Right? I mean, if your thought system was so impervious, you'd already be there. Then sometimes people believe that it's all about being positive all the time. That's also not true. Because what that usually means is the person is in total denial about their anger, guilt, and grievances, and insecurities and fears that most people have who grew up in the world. And so what they're doing is a massive job of sweeping things under the rug. That is also not spirituality either. As a matter of fact, the more spiritual you become, the more honest you are about all your feelings. All of them. All of them. Not just what you would call your best dressed. If you insist, Holy Spirit. If you insist. Again, something else happening for my own disinterest. You know. I'm not down in myself because I'm telling you how I'm feeling. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Just because a person says how they feel, it doesn't mean that something's wrong or they're beating themselves up or you know what I'm saying? You have to I'm going to give you all a favor. If you ever want to talk to me, just say how you feel. And I promise you, I won't fix you or correct you or tell you another way you need to look at it. Okay? Because we just need to be able to open our mouths and just talk. Without everybody pouncing on you like you're saying something or doing something wrong, just because you're being honest about what you're feeling in the moment. And as truth students, that's a real big tendency we have. It's not to let anyone talk without feeling like you have to judge it or fix it or tell them another way that they need to look at it. And what happens is people avoid communicating with you after a while. And you won't know the people you're around because they don't want to hear what you got to say. Because they just want to talk. Right? So this first sentence on page 2-4, even though I know that everybody means well, so that's why you don't have to get upset about it, because they mean well. It's not like somebody's saying something to hurt you. They think, but the truth is, part of your healing is being able to have unlimited communication without fear. That's what love is. That's how you can judge how much you love somebody. It's how afraid are you to talk to them about what you're genuinely thinking and feeling. Right? But if I'm getting ready to talk to you and then I'm trying to run everything through my mind before I say it to you, because I'm trying to guess in how you're going to react before I say it. So I got to try to say it just right so that you won't react. Then that's going to get to be too much trouble after a while. And that's not really want to talk to you. Right? So I don't know about you, but the people I consider to be my closest friends are the ones I can just talk to. And they just listen. And then if I need help, then I'll ask them. Sometimes I tell my friends, I'm about to tell you something that I'm making myself upset about. Something I feel like I'm going through right now. I won't tell you unless you promise me, if at all possible, you will laugh at it. Because that's what I want you to do. I want you to laugh. This is so ridiculous in terms of what I'm making happen for myself as a child of God. Would you please laugh at it? And so, it's because often the Course talks about how you laugh it away. Because it'd be easier for you to laugh at it than me. Right? Right. So, because I notice people are always able to have a spiritual attitude about my stuff. You ever notice that? If it's your stuff, everybody can come from the highest thoughts. No, well, you should not see that as real. That is an illusion. You are totally innocent because it's my stuff. Right? My car got stolen, so it's easy for you to tell me it's an illusion. Because it is for you. Right? But what will impress me is if your car got stolen and you see it as an illusion, but it doesn't impress me to be spiritual about my ego. That doesn't mean you're on this high level of consciousness because you don't get upset about what I'm going through. Think about that. You don't get upset about what I'm going through, so that makes you very spiritual. Right? Of course you're not going to get upset about what I'm going through as much as I would. So the test is, will I apply it to me? And what I realize now is that applying it to me means if I made myself upset about it, I feel what I feel in that moment about it. And I don't try to change my mind and feel another way until I'm ready to feel another way. Because it's nothing wrong with me having all of my feelings. Right? So it says in that very first sentence, and now the reason why you are afraid of this course should be apparent. That's how the sentence starts out. But this is a course on love because it's a course about you. So why is this a course on love? Because this whole course is about us. This entire Course in Miracles is about who? Us. Because it's about what? Love. So what is that saying? You are love. Then it says, you have been told that your function in the world is healing. So you are in the world to what? Heal. Now, this is what you do with the Course in Miracles. You go, now what is the Course in Miracles definition of healing? The one definition is the undoing of fear and guilt. So you would go, my function in this world is the undoing of my fear and the undoing of my guilt. So I'm here to undo. Now, Would I need to undo it if I didn't have it? No. So just by virtue that we're here, we got some unconscious fear and unconscious guilt. That's if you are attracted to the Course in Miracles, because it's a curriculum for the people that it's for. It's radical. That's a radical concept. The Course in Miracles is for the people that it's for, right? So it says your function in heaven is creating. So heaven would be love or fear. Which one?
Love.
Love. Thank you. Thank you. So it means your function in love is creating, and your function in this world is to undo your fear. All right, so creating, and people ask me, like, what does it mean by creating? And the Course in Miracles says to create is to extend. So to extend love, to extend the truth, that is creating. When you say that God created you, the Course is saying what it means is God extended you, right? So I want you to think of God like an antenna, right? And you know how you extend an antenna? That's what you are. You are extended from God. And no part of the antenna is different. It just extended. So you being extended from God means you have what? All the qualities of God. But you forgot about it. Because you went to the mall. Okay. I love y'all. You love me?
Yes. We're the y'all mall.
We're the y'all mall. I'm going to take it slow because the Course says that's how it should be taken. All right? Okay. The ego, which is fear or love? Fear. Fear teaches that your function on earth is destruction. So there's a part of you saying, you just came here to screw things up, destroy things, everything you do. Your relationships messed up, your finances messed up, your body messed up, your job. It's like there's a part of us that judges and criticizes and condemns different areas of our life. Does anybody in here have a part of their mind that occasionally does that? All right, okay. All right, all of us do, but some of us in denial. Okay, so.
Not me.
That's right. That's right. All right. And that's okay. You get to the point that you go, okay, that's all right. You can believe you're totally different from everybody on earth. Okay, you're here, but everybody else don't have the same problem. Okay. Then it says, I love this. Your ego teaches you that your function here is destruction, and you have no function at all in love. You don't know how to function in love at all. You don't know you don't know nothing about. There's a part of my mind that goes, you don't know how to love nobody. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is what I'm saying. The Course, but if you take the Course slowly, you'll see that what it's calling for is radical honesty. I'll say it again. Somebody that's in denial would not want to admit that there's a part of themselves that they see as self-destructive. Yes. Because they think if they see themselves that way, they're going to create it. And the Course says, you've already created it. Read the paper. It's already happening. What you talking about? Yes. All you're doing is stating the obvious. Yes. Right? But then it says, so there's a part of you that would destroy you here. You call it dying. Right? And bury you here. Yeah, I got my lot. Cemetery. Right? See, I mean, just being straight up. There's a part of you that thinks you're going to die and be buried. Yes. Yes. And then it says, leaving you no inheritance except the dust out of which it thinks you were made. Right. So the only thing that's left is that body that's turned into dust. And the Course says, the Course had a little juice to it, said that feeds the worms. Okay? So you become worm food. That body that everybody want to touch becomes worm food one day. And isn't that interesting how much you can want the body, but then when the spirit is no longer animating, nobody's in a hurry to jump in the casket and French kiss the corpse, except a guy named Fred. He's studying the Course, so he'll get over it. He'll get over it, okay? There's no one I never have thousands of people. Okay. That's right. I had to spread my thousands all over the world. I had to, No, literally, it was funny. I got somebody sent me a video the other day of these two young kids from Ireland. these two young kids who were, they were like 4, 5, maybe. And they were dancing their butt off to me doing affirmations. And it was so sweet. It was so sweet when I saw it. It was like, wow, that's a trip. I mean, they were rocking out to me. You know, they was jamming, you know, in their diapers and stuff. Now I know what my audience is. I need to go to the kindergarten. They were like, all right, I'm in this little baby body, but I remember what you're talking about, man. You know, I haven't gone totally into the sleep of forgetfulness yet. Some of you all know that this world has never felt like your home.
Right.
Some of you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You've been here, but there's another part of you that knows in your gut that there's something more than what we think this is. And the Course says, the Holy Spirit, the voice of God, says in the Course that the Course is a person who's totally insane, they cannot get the Course in Miracles. It's a person that totally believes what the world believes, really believes that they're a body, really believes that they're a victim, really believe that they don't have anything to do with what's happening in their experience. So that person will never get the Course. It's that this teaching will never. So that's why sometimes when you're trying to explain the Course in Miracles to your friends and relatives, it sounds crazy to them completely. And because it sounds crazy to you.
Yes.
Some of it sounds crazy to you. So, but it says the Course is available to someone who's partially sane. So we should feel very proud of ourselves. You all are a little bit sane. Ooh, all right. Now don't let it go to your head. Don't let it go to your head. Now, y'all got a little sense according to the Course, all right? And what that simply means is you have the capacity to listen to reason. He says your ego creates through faith, belief, and perception. What you have faith in, what and what you believe in, and what you perceive. And then it says your spiritual self operates from faith, belief, and vision. So your real self is able to see through things, see beyond what we've been taught, see beyond what we've been taught. Don't just stop at what we've been taught, right? So it says, as long as your ego is reasonably satisfied with you, as its reasoning goes, it offers you, guess what? Oblivion.
All right. Yeah.
So I'm kind of satisfied with you, so I'm going to offer you oblivion. You know, things are going to be just fantastic, but you kind of go into oblivion. So in other words, you go, I don't know what the hell's going on. And then the Course says, when your ego, the part of you that believes that your function is destruction and you have no function in love, he says, when it becomes overtly savage, it offers you hell. Right. And that's what happened when I would go to church as a child, and the ego minister, the fear-based minister, would tell me, if you don't do this, you're going to hell. Yeah. Right? And then the Course in Miracles says, fear is hell. So the Course in Miracles definition of hell is fear. It says you are in hell if you're in a place where anything can happen to you at any time. You can lose those you love, and you're afraid of what can happen to you. He says that is hell. So people are afraid they're going to hell. The Course says you already in hell. Now, again, that don't go over with the positive thinking crowd, right? Because that sounds what? Negative, right? But it's not negative. If you think for a second, what else but hell could you be in a place that anything could happen to you and anybody that you love at any given time, and you could lose appear to lose what you love? Yes. The Course is saying that's not negative. That's motivation.
Yes, exactly.
In other words, if you wake up to the fact that you would like to be in a place of safety, in a place of love, then now you're more motivated to do it, right? So the Course says when your ego becomes overtly savage, so fear offers you fear. Fear offers you hell. So what was complicated about that first paragraph? Nothing. The reason why you're afraid of the course is apparent. This is a course about love. So it's a course about you. I've been telling you that your function in the world is to heal and to extend love, but there's another part of you that believes that your function is destruction, and it believes you're going to die one day, and it believes you're going to be buried one day, and when that part of you really is upset with you, it offers you hell. It offers you fear. Are we still together?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Next paragraph. Yet neither oblivion nor hell is unacceptable to you as love. What? In other words, neither oblivion nor fear is as unacceptable to you as love. We will have a tendency to accept fear.
Yeah.
When you tell people about all the things that could happen in the world that could be harmful, they go, yeah, you're right. You're right. You can't trust people. Anything could happen to you. They could have a list of stuff, right? But if you said, I want to give you love, watch them run. Watch the suspicion come up.
Yes.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I was talking to someone just recently. They came to the class for the first time. We had a great laughing conversation. And the first time they came into the class, and they saw me with my heart shirt on and my heart glasses, they knew it was a cult. It's like, oh hell yeah, right? So we're in a place where if you are exemplifying love, that's when you're most suspect to people.
Yeah.
And that's what the course is saying. Neither fear, oblivion nor fear is unacceptable to you as love, which is heaven. Then it says your definition of heaven is hell and oblivion. Your definition of love is hell. Who have I been hurt by the most? The people who told me they love me.
Yes, that's right.
That's why I won't allow a whole lot of people to do it.
That's right.
Right? It's like, then it says, and the real heaven, which is real love, is the greatest threat you think you could experience.
That's right.
I'll tell you why. It says because we've learned to look at love as sacrifice. That when you love someone, the first thing you start doing is what you don't want to do. Right? That is literally the definition of love.
Right.
That if I love you, I'm supposed to put my needs and my desires second to whatever it is you want me to do.
Wow.
And the Course in Miracles says, I quote, you're supposed to love yourself first. Not second, not third, first. I love me, then I extend love to you. The world says, don't do that. Try to please everybody else and sacrifice everything you want for them, and that's love. So a person who doesn't know what love is, would that not be a person who thinks love is sacrifice?
Yes.
So let me ask you this question. So therefore, if you're in a relationship and you refuse to sacrifice for the other person, what do they call you? Selfish. So it's really funny. That's my favorite kind of fish, by the way.
Oh.
It's selfish. I couldn't resist that. Hey, I've been green for 30-something years. You've been watching.
Yes.
Okay. I met Anna when she was 17 years old. We've been friends for 30-something years. And she's seen me in every stage of my life, and I've seen her in every stage of hers.
Yep.
And we often joke about, we have to stay friends.
We know too much.
We know much too much about each other. We no doubt about it. You know, you wouldn't believe the things she's witnessed.
In the ringleader.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that part.
I know.
All right. It was your idea. Okay. And because we've had a holy relationship for 3 decades, Anna and I haven't had 4 arguments in 35 years.
That's right.
Because we had sense enough not to get in a special relationship with each other.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. So didn't get into those expectations.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So the Course then says, for hell and oblivion, fear,
Yes.
and oblivion are ideas you made up.
Yeah.
So did you hear that? Y'all made up the idea of hell. Y'all made up the idea of hell. Hell is made up. There's no such thing as hell. There's no such thing as hell. There's no such thing as hell except here. If you're not looking at it correctly. If you're not being loving. right? And so the course, now remember, you don't have to believe this, you don't have to accept this, you don't have to welcome this, you don't have to believe this, you don't have to accept this. So you're just listening to the what? You're just listening to the message, right? Holy Spirit's online, and Mighty Companions online. We are just listening to what it's saying. This is the way you learn the course. You just listen to what it's saying first. So I'm not interested in whether you understand it or I understand it. First, I just need to hear what the heck it's saying before I try to tear it apart. Right? But I need to hear it first. Okay? Notice as I go through this, it makes total sense if you're willing to be honest, right? Then the Course in Miracles says, hell and oblivion are ideas that you made up and you are bent on demonstrating their reality to establish yours. If I have established that fear is real, then I'm going to try to demonstrate that fear is real because that establishes my reality as I have defined it. So if I say you can't trust people, then I need people who are untrustworthy to establish the reality that I've made up, right? So I'm not going to form a relationship with somebody that's going to be trustworthy because that'll blow my idea about reality. So I'm going to always end up entering relationships with someone who seems to be untrustworthy because it's got to demonstrate my reality. It was funny. I went to this place, this club called Hofbrau last night. And I was by myself. I just went down. Because sometimes I like to go places by myself just to see what the Holy Spirit has in store for me.
Good job.
And so I went and I was standing there. And first thing happened, this guy came up to me and he put his arm around me. And he went, "Can I take a selfie with you?" Said, "You look like Samuel L. Jackson." I suppose that was supposed to be a compliment, but it didn't come there off there. I wanted to hear Denzel. I don't want to hear no Samuel L. Jackson. You don't look that, well, okay. All right. I have a misperception. I think Denzel is hot. That's a misperception. Okay, thank you. But my point is, and then this woman just turned around and she just started dancing with me. She was, she was like, really like shooting out the love and radiating and everything. And I'm just, and so then we stopped dancing, and then a few minutes later, she was the lead singer of the band that was up there, and so it was like, and so I made the instant connection with her, and that was happening all evening. I was just standing there, and women were coming up, men were putting their hands or arm around my shoulder, and I was like the only black person. I thought I'd add that to it as a little extra juice. I think that's why he wanted the selfie. Get the only black person. Let me get a picture of you.
His name is Hogan.
So my point is, in my perception, that reality should be loving. And so because that's my core belief, after doing this for so long, that I was in this building looking at myself in various forms, then that was the response that I got. Right? And so the Course in Miracles is saying, if the reality of your fear or your hell is questioned, then you believe your reality is questioned. He says, because you believe that attack is your reality. You believe that there's such a thing as attack in this reality. Anybody argue about that? Okay. All right. And that your destruction is the final proof you were right. If attack is my reality, me finally being destroyed is the proof that I'm right.
That's right.
If I died, that's the proof that things don't live here. This is a reality of attack.
Yes.
That was paragraph 2. So what did paragraph 2 says? That I'd rather deal with hell than with love. There's a part of me that feels much more comfortable with fear than it does with love. That my definition of love is hell. I think that's because that's who I went through the most hell with, is with people I thought I loved. And it looks like love is the greatest threat that I can experience. And it's an idea I made up. I made the whole thing up, and I'm trying to prove that it's true. And if I feel the reality of that is questioned, I feel like my reality is questioned. I believe I'm in a reality that it looks like you can be hurt in, and people can be hurt. And the fact that I could be finally destroyed and hurt is the final proof that I am right. Now remember now, it's describing the part of our mind that thinks it's fearful and separate. This is what it's describing right now. Not your whole mind. It's talking about how part of your mind operates. Okay, now, any questions or comments, please keep it focused on what we're talking about. That narrowed it down,
Yeah,
didn't it?
no
Yeah.
comment.
I was just gonna say that, I think what this helps me to realize is those things that I think I like really want are all things that would destroy me. So like those things that are the ones I want to obsess over or think I want or think I need that I think will give me any happiness. I need to stop being deluded that they'll give me any happiness because my ego really wants them. And so if my ego and my fear really wants those things, that means that it's meant to destroy me, it's meant to bring me pain, it's meant to bring me fear.
If my ego wants you, then I know you bad news. So my first suspicion about anybody I want is I need to be on the lookout because I want them. That's the first thing that needs to make me check them out really. Why? Because I'm attracted to them. And I know my track record. Now, this class is not for people who are in denial. This class is for people who are willing to admit they sometimes make challenging choices in relationships. Is there anybody here that's ever made a challenging choice in relationship?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, me too. All right, if you're saying you haven't, you're in denial. Okay.
And you're innocent.
Yes, and you're totally innocent, but you're totally in denial. Okay. Like I used to like to say, denial is not a river in Egypt.
Well, there's oblivion, right?
Okay, and it's oblivion. Okay. Anybody else? Before I go to the next?
I know this is going to sound kind of funny, but remember when you were talking about being buried in the dirt and the worms get you?
Yeah.
Well, when my daughter was 3 years old, we had to go bury her great-grandmother. So she goes up to her, she's died, we're getting ready to put her in the ground. She goes up to her and she says, "Oh, goodbye, Grandma." She's 3, right? She touches her face and she goes, "Mom, what happened to her face? She's hard as a rock." I said, "Because her spirit's gone." You try to tell a 3-year-old that. So when we're talking about
It's so obvious when you look at a body that it's not the person. It's not really like rocket science here. You'll look at that body and you'll go, "That's not that person." Well, you are not your body now. Any more than you. Isn't that something? But I just remember that when the body was my primary goal.
Yes.
I wanted the body.
Yeah.
And that was a sign of how asleep I was. Not guilty, just asleep. That's all. You're never guilty and sinful. You're just unaware. And that's not a sin. Right? So, okay, in the comment, I'm going to go to the next paragraph. Those of you online, Les says, "Why is it that I feel more comfortable with hell than with love?" Because that's what I've experienced the most. And I've learned how to navigate my way around my suspicion and fear. I don't know how to trust all of you all 100%. You see what I mean? So when you talk about trusting and loving unconditionally, the only way I could do that would be if I was really clear that I can't lose.
Yes.
So if I really, like you think about anything you are concerned about is always something you think is lacking. Like right now, I doubt if any of you are probably thinking a lot about oxygen right now because there's plenty of it, right? But if all of a sudden somebody sucked all the oxygen out of the room, y'all be real conscious of oxygen. So whatever you're conscious of is what you think is lacking. That's why you're worried about money or relationships or any of those things. It's because you think they're lacking. If you didn't think it was lacking, you wouldn't even think about it.
So if we didn't have expectations, nothing would be lacking.
If we didn't have expectations, nothing would be. Expectation is the mother of grievances.
Expectations.
Yeah, all your grievances come from your expectations. All of them. Whether it's your expectation about how the president should be, the expectation of how the Congress should be, how your friends should be, how your mama, all of your grievances come from expectation.
Amen.
So I'm trying not to expect anything of you.
Amen.
My goal is not to expect anything of you.
Which is what love does.
Love doesn't have expectations because there's nothing missing in love. So therefore, I don't have to be concerned about what you do or don't do because there's nothing missing in me. I don't need you to provide anything, but we could join together and expand on it.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Like I said, Sane people have bodies too. So whatever it is you want to do with the body, a sane person with a body has body parts too. So you don't have to get with crazy people just to have a bodily experience. Even though it's a lot of them to choose from.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right? So I can see why people do it. It's that you get such a cornucopia of choice. But when you talk about trying to get with somebody that got some sense, it look like it's all God has to direct them. Right? That's why I go to God for my relationships now, because God is the only one that knows who is sane to send into my life, because everybody look like bodies. So I don't know how much sense you got until I get to know you. Sometimes it's too late. Right? Right, it's way too late. Way too late. And then sex is the crazy switch for most people. They can be sane as the world until you have sex with them, and then they lose their friggin' mind, because sex is the symbol of specialness and the symbol of love in our world.
Yes, that's right.
That's where it is in hell. That's in oblivion.
That's right.
That's right. Hell and oblivion. That sounds like a couple of women I went out. They were twins. It was a three-way. Okay.
Are you sure they were women?
I'm sure. I'm sure. Thank you, Greg, for getting me to kind of get clear about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you check?
Yeah. Yes, I'm afraid I did check.
Just check.
That's all right. So Jesus has an incredible sense of humor. I call the Course in Miracles the joke book from God.
Yes.
Now check out the next sentence. Under the circumstances, would it not be more desirable to have been wrong? Like under the circumstances, don't y'all want to be wrong?
Yes.
Yeah. Then it says, even apart from the fact that you were wrong, want to be wrong because you are wrong.
Yes.
That's what he just told us. Why don't you desire to be wrong? Because you're so wrong. What do you mean? You are wrong if you think your function is destruction. You are wrong if you think you have no function in love. You are wrong if you think you're going to be destroyed and buried here. You are wrong if you think that you're going to have hell. You are wrong if you think love is the greatest threat you could experience. You are wrong. All of that is wrong. Now, a lot of people say, and I grew up in that metaphysical school, that there is no wrong.
Yes.
Everybody go, every direction is right.
Yes.
Every direction is okay. There is no wrong.
Yes.
See, I don't mind the word wrong. It don't bug me. If I'm headed out I-25 toward Colorado Springs and I think I'm heading toward the church, I don't have a problem with somebody saying, Earl, you're headed the wrong way.
That happens to me all the time.
You need to turn around.
Yeah.
So wrong isn't a bad thing. It can save you a lot of freaking time.
Yes.
But suppose I was going to Colorado Springs and it went, all directions are right. So just drive on toward Colorado. Eventually you'll circle the earth. The class will be over. But you will eventually get to Unity Temple. Actually, it would save me a lot more time if someone said that was wrong.
Yes.
So wrong isn't a bad word. Don't fall for that lie too.
Yes.
The Course in Miracles says you don't have enough time to try all directions in time. You would die before you can try all directions.
Yes.
So it would be to your advantage if someone did tell you this is wrong-minded.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. Then it says, while it could perhaps be argued that death suggests there was life, you're dead now, but you did live, no one would claim that death proves there is life, especially after death. I think it looks like people don't come back because they don't want to. You think about it. Have you ever been to a bad party and you never want to go back over that person's house no more? That's why they don't come back. It's like they have to force them back. Come on, we'll stuff you in that body. You going back. I don't want to go back. You know, I still haven't landed in the body yet. I'm still waiting to get fully embodied. You know, I remember what it was like to be free willing consciousness and totally free and totally loved, where you were totally safe.
Yes.
All of us know that this is not our ultimate reality. But our ego, which believes it is, it's fiercely defending it. So the Course in Miracles says, while it could perhaps be argued that death suggests there was life, Course in Miracles class, no one would claim that death proves there is life. Even the past life that your death might indicate could only be futile if your past life must come to this. And needs this to prove that it was at all death. In other words, how am I going to have a past life unless I died? So why do you need to die just to prove you can do past lives?
Oh.
Right? Somebody told me the other day, some souls want to get out their bodies that are old so that they can get a new one and come back and continue their work. I thought that was a very interesting perception. Yeah, because it kind of explains the way I feel. Okay, now, but I don't want to come back. I don't want to come back unless I'm awake.
Yes.
And I'm like coming here totally conscious,
Yes.
checking it out, can go in and out as I will.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back here as an unconscious human being that thinks that this is the ultimate
And
reality.
then have to go through the whole.
And then have to go through I will do my course lesson just not to go through junior high school again. That's, you know what I'm saying? I don't have any desire to go through all that stuff again if I don't have to. Some of y'all feel me? Yeah. It's like, No, it's funny. I very seldom cross my mind saying I wish I was younger.
Yeah.
And sometimes with my body it make me like how like when I'm dancing, I'm about to die on the dance floor. Some people will dance you to death. But they actually dance you to life, baby. That's right. You invigorate me. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. That's right. We don't go dancing unless I had lots of vitamins. Okay. But it keeps you young. You got to move this body. You got to move this body. That's why I like to be with people of all ages, because people my age will keep me stiff.
Not in a good way.
And not in a good way. And I want to be stiff in a good way. I'm going to be stiff. That's right. That's right.
That's when you wish you were young.
But I didn't want my whole body to be hard,
Only certain parts. What happened to Earl?
He has the ultimate hard on. Permanent. I'm sorry, I made the mistake of talking to adults like they're adults. I'm so sorry. People get like offended and stuff. Yes, that's okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've reached the level of consciousness. I don't give a damn. I don't care if I offend somebody. I really don't. Y'all can just not watch me. You know what I'm saying? I am not gonna care what other people think.
Not pretentious.
Well, it's stupid. There's gonna always be somebody that don't like you. So it's kind of crazy to think that you're gonna say something that's not gonna offend. It's not, it's like if you're gonna be your real self, you're gonna offend somebody. Yeah. Now if you're being milquetoast and trying to be with everybody else, then you might kind of pull it off. But when you come out of your real power and your real love and your real uniqueness, it's gonna offend people who are insecure and judgmental. You just as well accept it. Everybody ain't gonna like you at the level of the world.
Exactly.
If you're being true to yourself. The beauty, though, is that those who do appreciate you will recognize you and they will come into your life, and it will be the most supportive people you could have ever had around you, but they won't show up if you're not being true to yourself and you're being what I call the program. You're just acting out the program you were taught. And so if you're acting out the program, then you're going to have to deal with the program. I'm not acting out the program. So therefore I attract other people who don't act out the program, and they are what you call interesting people. And fun. But when you're with the people that's the program, oh my God, you're thinking about everything you said before you do it, and whether they, all of that, So the Course says, he says, even the past life the death might indicate could only have been futile if it must come to this, and needs this to prove that it was at all. You question heaven, you question the truth, you question love, but you don't question this. People don't question the stuff we've been taught, but they'll question love, they'll question truth. And then it says, yet you could heal and be healed if you would question this. If you would question what the world is teaching us, you could be healed. Your fear could be ended. Yet you could heal and be healed if you did question it. And even though you know not heaven, which is real love, your real reality, might it not be more desirable than death? In other words, you believe in death, but wouldn't it be more desirable if there was something more than death? Wouldn't it be great if when you went through what was called death, you actually didn't die? Wouldn't it be great if all the crap we learned actually wasn't true?
Yes.
Say yes. 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 I don't know. I kind of want to be worm food. I'm still kind of on the fence about that.
You know, the worms need food too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Worms need food
Worms
too.
are creatures
That's
of
right.
God
That's,
as well.
that's right. Thank you. That's okay. But I'll just feed you to the worms. You know. That isn't a pretty picture, though, is it?
No, it's not.
No, you know, that's kind of a gross idea, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have been I love this. You have been as selective in your questioning as in your perception. You are very selective about the questions you ask, and you're very selective about the perceptions you choose to have. And an open mind is what? More honest than this. So an open mind, the Course says, is a mind that says, I don't know. An open mind says, I don't know. A closed mind says, I got it. I know exactly what's going on, right? Okay. So the ego, which is the fearful part of the mind, has a strange notion of time. It is with this strange notion of time that your questioning might well begin. Your fearful mind invests heavily in the past. So the ego invests heavily in the past, and in the end, your ego believes that the past is the only aspect of the time that's meaningful. Your ego says the only thing that means anything is what you had in the past, the relationship in the past, the money in the past, the happiness in the past. It always points by childhood.
Yeah.
The ego it believes that the only aspect of time that means anything is what's gone.
Yes.
All right? Then it says, remember what? Remember. Remember that your ego's emphasis on guilt enables your ego to ensure its continuity. I'll say it another way. Remember that your fearful mind's emphasis on guilt enables your fearful mind to ensure its continuity. How? Your fearful mind is trying to make your future just like your past. So that your ego gives you a relationship that's like the relationship you had in the past. Give you what you call your pattern. And so what your ego, your fearful mind is trying to do is avoid right now. I'm thinking about what happened in the past. I'm thinking about what might happen in the future. That's just like what happened in the past, but it avoids what? Right now when I can really make a new choice. Right? Then it says, by the notion of paying for your past and the future, you're going to get it. For what you did before. If it's not in this life, it's another one. You're going to get it. Right? Karma. They call it karma. Right? And it's really bad. They call it trucker. Okay. Now, they get it karma, trucker. I was channeling Cheryl. That came straight from Cheryl. It did. She admitted. She heard it. She said, "Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did." You know, that's what's good about this oneness stuff. You can really make blame work now. You know what I'm saying? So the Course says, by the notion of paying for what you did in the past and the future, you're letting your past become the determiner of your future. Whenever you tell yourself you're going to pay for something you did in the past, you're letting your past determine your future. And that makes your past and your future continuous.
Yes.
Because you keep going through the same thing without intervening right now when you could choose something different. Because your ego, the part of you that hates your guts, it regards the present only as a brief transition to the future. Yeah, we don't look at the present as this powerful, powerful time that we can do things. It's just this little brief transition to the next moment. So the Course says the ego, the fearful part of the mind, the guilty part of the mind, regards the present only as a brief transition to the future, in which your ego brings your past to your future. How? By interpreting your present in past terms. See, if I use my present moment to think that what I went through in the past, I'm going to go through in the future, that's what he's saying. What you're doing is using right now to bring your past into your future, because you still keep interpreting everything according to your past learnings. So if you don't start thinking differently right now, if you don't start using this truth that you're studying right now, then you are just going to still be taking your past learning and experiences and using right now to interpret what you're going through based on your past, and then you're going to relive it again in the future, and that's why you call it your pattern. You're calling it your pattern because in this now moment, you're not using these new interpretations that the Course in Miracles and the Truth books are giving you about how you should look at your life. That's very powerful what I just said. If you all keep studying this stuff and then walk out of the room, and then the minute you walk out of the room, you start looking at it again from the way you were taught to look at it from the world, then you are projecting your past into the future, and then you relive it again.
The cycle continues.
And the cycle, now I'm going to make it really simple. There's just two ways that we look at things. If we're looking at it from the past, it just means you're looking at yourself as some sort of a victim of the experience.
Yes.
That's what it means when it says looking at it in terms of the past, when we were taught we were the victims of everything that can happen to us, and we didn't have anything to do with what was going on.
Right.
Okay, so now we project that attitude in the future, and then it looks like stuff is still happening to us that we don't know why it's happening. But if I was to go in this now moment, guess what? This situation is showing up again. I am not the victim of the world I see. I'm giving this all the meaning it has for me. It's going to be the interpretation that I give it that's going to determine how I'm feeling right now. I am not a victim. Now I'm using the present moment to break the pattern, and my next moment would be peaceful. And it won't be a repetition of what I've gone through before. So what am I saying, brothers and sisters, people online? You cannot just study this stuff and then go out and close the book or go out in the world and go right back to looking at it from a human perspective of being a victim, or you're just going to repeat what you went through in the past, because the present is your point of power. Could you acknowledge yourself for hearing this much, Holy Spirit? Woo! Could you give it to each other? And then we will say to each other, thou shalt not be worm food. Right now. So let's do the love offering. Holy Spirit, those of you online, I really needed to hear this, and I was looking at everything that you all wrote, and I love to look at your comments. And so let's share our financial expression of appreciation. Thank you for sharing so much. You're innocent. You're innocent. You're innocent. So don't interpret your past financial situation in terms of what kind of situations you had financially in the past. Right now, you don't have to go through any of the financial changes that you went through in the past. If you were to take this moment and go, I am sustained by the love of God. 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 See, that's using your present in a brand new way. Those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, Earl Purdy, PURDY.com, and also you can use Venmo.
Yes.
And my address is, email address is really difficult, Earl Purdy at earlpurdy.com. So thank you for sharing with me. I'm available for one-on-one personal sessions so that we can remove the blocks that keep you from having the happiness and abundance and the prosperity and the connections that you want to have. So I've been working with people for 40 years almost. And I love A Course in Miracles. Now, did you all notice that we went through this? Did it make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Right, except to Patrick, the only person that it didn't make. He still wants to be worm food, so that's all right. That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. See, love would allow you to be an ego.
That's right.
See, that's the thing about love. See, love wouldn't interfere with a decision and choice that you want to make, even though you have an option. So love would say you didn't care. See, a person would say, you don't care. It's not that I don't care. I'm allowing you to be. Right. I'm allowing you to be. Right? So, because now you have alternatives, you could look at it another way, and you're choosing to continue to look at it and do what you've already been doing. So as out of my love for you and respect for you, I'm going to allow you to keep doing it to yourself. Because the Course says everyone reaches their limit. And when you reach your limit, you'll go, there must be a better way. And then you actually get sincere and you do it. And there are lots of people who are already ready to change. So you can go ahead and work with the ones that's already open. And then those who aren't, then you just patiently have a lot of fun and enjoy your life until they decide to do it differently, because the way that a spiritual being waits in patience is through enjoying themselves. See, I'm very patient if I'm having a good time and you're taking your time. But then while you are still choosing to put yourself through the same things, I'll have a loving experience and be totally ready for you whenever you decide to change your mind. And that's true patience. But if I join you in your suffering, then I would be impatient, right? Because I wouldn't want to go through the suffering with you. So I'm going to get really upset with you. But if I'm having a good time and you messing around, then I can be patient until you're ready to do it differently, because you're not going to be attracted to me anyway. You're going to want to form relationships with people who join you in the suffering. So, and you'll call that your partner. Okay, so, isn't that simple?
Yes.
But it makes perfect sense though, because one of the things that blew my mind the most when I started to do this stuff years ago was to watch people move away from a loving person and be totally attracted to people who misuse them and abuse them, and would have endless patience with the person who didn't appreciate them, have no patience with me. You know, it was really funny. I was trying to be the loving person, but I was the one that couldn't make, if I do one little thing, out of here. I mean, it was so funny. Wait a minute now, I've been totally loving it, and in most cases, my crime wasn't even my crime. It was something they made up. So it's like, wait a minute, you leaving me because of something you made up that wasn't never true anyway? You know, and you gone. But then the person who doesn't ever call you, doesn't give you any attention, doesn't ever acknowledge you, you just will stay in that relationship for years. Have you seen it? Yeah. Have you done it? Yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. Now I watch that over and over again. It's like, no patience with me, and I'm trying to practice the truth with you. And you have endless patience for the abuser. Why? Because that person is giving you what you think you deserve. Yes. That person, you can trust them because they are acting in a way that your fear-based mind can relate to. And so it's not really that big of a mystery why people stay in relationships that suck. You know, they just don't think they deserve anything better than that. So that person is giving them what they think they deserve. But they have told, like you say, we believe love is the real threat. We believe the loving person is the real threat. You know, and so the incredible change that's happening in my life right now is that I'm attracting more and more mighty companions who have also made the decision on their own, through their own inner work, that they also want to reflect love and sanity. So now we are moving each other faster because it's nobody you got to convince, drag along, try to get them to want to give some attention to the truth. My friends and I are jumping up and down with excitement to when we can get together, focus on the truth together, and party.
Yeah.
See, those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yes.
So we're moving at a lightning-like pace, but we have to be especially careful because that means our egos would love to create tons of separation if you're using your relationship to move forward. So we really have to practice the truth with each other.
Yes.
Right? And so you have to stay conscious when you start attracting loving people who share your purpose more than ever before. But if you do find yourself getting upset and you're consciously growing, then you go, it must be something wrong with the way that I'm seeing things, rather than want to blame them. And even if you did, you come back to sanity faster and go, you know what? You didn't do anything to me. That was me misperceiving. And if so it's so much easier to be in a relationship with people who want to be saved.
Yes.
I'm to y'all to try.
Yes.
I highly advise it. I highly advise it. You know, it's faster.
Yes.
It's faster. It's faster. So, mighty companions, tell me something you heard today that you want to remember before we complete.
What you're feeling is real.
What you're feeling is what's going to get you in touch with, that's your guide, that's your lie detector, and your truth detector is your feeling, your internal compass. Great way to put it.
Present is your point of time.
The present is my point of power. If I want my future to be different, I cannot interpret what's happening in my life based on what I learned in the past, which I call that before the course, or before you start studying the truth.
BC.
BC, before course.
If part of me thinks that my purpose is to destroy and be destroyed, then I want to be wrong.
That's right. I don't want to be right if I am unhappy.
Right.
I don't want to be right when I'm miserable.
Yes.
I would say what I got personally was your prelude to your discussion on how to be a listener.
That's right. Cool. That would be like great. That would be wonderful.
I think that's my lesson for the day.
Thank you.
I would lose sight of the present moment of love if I keep looking back in the past and bringing that into the present. I'll still be in fear if I don't make the decision in this moment, so I could release the future.
Right. The Course in Miracles says the only power that we unlimited spiritual beings have in this realm is the power of decision. He says that's the last power. We had all our powers. We down to the last one. The power to choose. We have the power. And so this year I've been calling myself the chooser. Yeah, I've been saying, okay, you now call yourself the chooser. And that's been very powerful to say that to myself. Try it. Say, I am the chooser. I am the chooser. I am the chooser. Yeah. Hey, you get your hand up. Yes.
We are all holy antennas extended from God with all of his qualities.
I love it when you talk about it.
You even have to bleep that?
I'm going to have to bleep that. We're all holy antennas extended from God. I'm going to have to bleep that. I'm sorry, Ava. I'm going to have to bleep that. I'm trying to be y'all's antenna, baby. That's what you do. I'm your antenna.
What I got was unpack it before you attack it.
Unpack it before you attack it. That's deep. That's really deep. So, mighty companions, isn't it great that we have each other to share these ideas? Did you see the difference it made to just let ourselves hear the message? And then hear how loving the message ultimately was? So we're going to learn how not to be afraid of love. The Course in Miracles says there are 4 obstacles to peace. The desire to get rid of it. The belief that the body is valuable for what it offers. Like everybody about the body. And he says the 3rd obstacle to peace is the attraction to death. He said we really believe that we die. And that death is hard to have peace when you think you could be ran over on Colfax Avenue.
Exactly.
I mean, every time I cross Colfax, I go, I'm a body. I know. Used to be back in the old days, you see the light change, in the walking, in the crosswalk, and you just bloop, bloop, bloop. Nowadays, when everybody's doing distracted driving, I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but I check the cars out.
I never go first.
I let y'all cross first. Ain't gonna be no worm food today. Ain't gonna be no worm, but I'll be good for vegan worm food. And then the last obstacle to peace, the 4th obstacle to peace, it says is the fear of God, which is the same as saying the fear of love, the fear of happiness. Sometimes I become the most afraid when I'm the most happy. Because that's when I think something's going to come to take it away.
You gotta be careful not to sabotage it.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So, mighty companions, I love y'all so much. I appreciate you. May the Course be with you. Those of you online, I love you so much. Thanks for checking it out. And seize the miracle, like Les says. Seize the miracle. Seize it.
Entitled to it.
Hugs are available.